Okay, so I want to talk about something real quick. We are in a really weird spot with comic book creators. I saw on Twitter a couple days ago, co-creator of The Punisher said that he loves, he loves the fact that we're getting Lady Thor in the next Thor movie, which so far all of the press around it hasn't mentioned Chris Hemsworth almost none at all, even though he's the star of the film. Um, they have talked more about that than anything. And Gerry Conway, like I mentioned, co-creator of The Punisher, is happy that it's happening just so it can get at Comicsgate. Now, I think to myself, and this is one thing I find interesting, is they want the legacy of the character and the films he is in to be more about politics and them getting at people that they consider political enemies than actually the people involved with the project or the character itself or pleasing the audience. You don't get to wonder why comic books are failing anymore. To Gerry and anyone else out there, you do not get to wonder why they're failing. You don't get to. You know why. Look in the fucking mirror. I generally don't like people who denigrate fans. I don't. I have done complete 180s on people whenever they start treating fans like trash. Complete 180s. And some people know some people that I'm talking about when I say that. You know, I have seen writers falsely accuse fans of racism. I have seen writers falsely accuse fans of harassment when they didn't do that. So on and so forth. And what really gets at me is that you're mad that people didn't like it. For what? What's the reasoning here? But what does this do to Gerry Conway is the question. What does this do to Jason Aaron? You know, what does this do to all these other, people that have been involved in these characters? Well, it takes their legend and it stymies it. Because here's the thing. One thing that can carry you in comic books, in the same way, oddly enough, it can carry you in professional wrestling, is being a name and being considered legendary for something. Not tooting his horn here, but Ethan, who he and I are very friendly, Ethan's got a legend behind him. You know, he and Ivan Race are the two, I would say, most prolific Green Lantern artists of the last 10 years. You know, those two and Jeff Johns are legends because of that run of Green Lantern. Ethan's also got his work on Flash Rebirth and other books as well that I'm probably forgetting. And now he's getting it again because of the success of Cyberfrog. Another person to mention would be Chuck Dixon, another person I'm friendly with. You know, Chuck, he wrote Nightfall. And because he is the guy who wrote Nightfall, in the same way that Ethan is the guy who drew one of the best, if not the best, Green Lantern run of all time, that is guaranteed money in the future, no matter where you go in the market. Gerry Conway, co-creator of The Punisher, those are words that in the comic book community mean something. Until you piss off the fans. I'm a guy who has his ear to the ground. I can tell you right now, there's a lot of folks that if Kurt Busiek were to put out a book, they wouldn't buy it. Because of the way Busiek treats fans these days. And there's probably other pros that I'm thinking of as well. You know, I've seen, I saw Tom King be really shitty to Got Hanzo of War Campaign, who's writing the Vestige book with Donald DeLay. That was the point where I stopped reading his Batman. I haven't said that up until that point, but that was the reason why. You know, the guy who wrote all different Wolverine is really shitty to fans. Tom Taylor. I won't read his comics anymore. And acting like this, like, what's his name? Scott Snyder, same thing. I'll never read another Scott Snyder book because of the way he treats fans. This is your legacy. Is shitting on fans, on the people who, if they didn't buy your comics, you wouldn't have the money in the bank you have. And that really gets to me. Again, I'm just a guy who's only sold 100 comics so far. 120 something, I think, is where my Indiegogo is at. And I went on Twitter when I saw that somebody refunded something and said, if you are even thinking about refunding this book, please let me know what I can do to improve. My first instinct. Because I want people to read my comic books. I want to provide them a product for them to enjoy. Because, aside from making me money, making my artists money, it makes me happy to make people happy. I am an entertainer. I love entertaining people. Because their smiles make me feel better. They make me... Bringing joy brings me joy. But you've got all these guys who are so high on themselves, sniffing their own farts, that they think that they're beyond the people who paid for the things they created. No, you're not. You're just another schmuck. The only reason your name carries any value is because of previous work, and your actions in the future can destroy that. Because here's the thing. I have no doubt that there are plenty of older writers who probably know jack shit about Comicsgate. They've only read like what they've seen on Rags, which, because most comic creators are left-leaning. So they only know what they've been told by somebody else. So I have no doubt that people I look up to, like Walt Simonson, like Christopher Priest, like Jim Starlin, or whatever, if you were to mention Comicsgate to them, they would probably have nothing good to say. But they're not out there saying it in the public. They keep their opinions to themselves. And there's people within Comicsgate, I'll even say, that should probably keep their opinions to themselves when they're trying to sell comics. Fuck it, I'll make a call out. Mike S. Miller. He was mocking people that he was giving refunds to. It's not what I would do. You know, I would be bummed about that. But then again, I'm just a guy trying to make it. I'm just praying to God above that if I ever reach this point, that this pinnacle where if I ever become a name, that I don't act like this, man. I would rather be the type of person that whenever I pass away from this earth, that when people see my grave, they are brought to tears by the fact that I lived a good life, as opposed to wanting to piss on it. And I would think that that should be a goal of just about anybody who's in the entertainment business. But it's not these days, is it? So congratulations to Gerry Conway and to all these other people. You have tied a noose around your legacies in the name of politics. And the only reason you're mad is because Hillary Clinton didn't get elected. I shouldn't have to tell 40-year-old and plus men to grow the fuck up. My name is Micah Curtis, the Prince of the Pugilistic Polemic, your favorite vanilla gorilla. I'll see you next time.